Yo, you all are gonna have to really explain this to me.
Shout out to A1. Shout out to Chief Holiday. And shout out to, the rest of the brothers like Jared for showing the connection between the ancient information and linking it to modern times. Indian does not connect you to nothing, but yet we utilize this shit before the legal properties that it has, you know. But at the end of the day, when we dealing with legal and history, these are two different stories that has two different languages and connotations that's tied to it.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
This is the Acacius map of about 500 BC. It is one of several maps that predate the Phoenician cartography of Marinus and the Roman cartography of Ptolemy. This map has the Gulf of Mexico labeled as the Caspian Sea. A team of Greek explorers in about 500 BC issued a report affirming that this was true. This is Eratosthenes' map of about 300 BC. It has the southern continent indicated as the Alter Orbis, meaning the other world. This is an early name for South America, and it's the same name that Columbus used for South America. This is a Roman map by Macrobius circa 440 AD. It is presently at the Huntington Library in San Marino, California. The map is a very accurate Florida and Gulf of Mexico. Florida was the Roman goddess of springtime. This is an enlargement of the Macrobius map showing the Florida Peninsula and the Gulf of Mexico. The Portuguese had a map of the same area called Antilles, or the Antilles, in 1436. This is an enlargement of the Macrobius map showing the Florida Peninsula and the Gulf of Mexico. The Portuguese had a map of the same area called Antilles, or the Antilles, in 1436. This is an enlargement of the Macrobius map showing the Florida Peninsula and the Gulf of Mexico. The Portuguese had a map of the same area called Antilles, or the Antilles, in 1436.
So what I want to let you guys know, don't let nobody tell you that this ancient information is not worth it. We done showed y'all the connection that the ancient ancestors of Virginia is the same ones connected to the ones in Alabama and Mississippi and the Georgia region, which is gave contribution to the pyramids. And not only to that, dealing with some of the shit in Moundville and the Hopewell community, uh, a lot of that shit shows you that our people had something to do with it. They called the indigenous people of Tennessee Aboriginals. So we know for a fact when you look up Indian has nothing to do with nothing, that the term in Aboriginal shows you the connection of the ancient people of this land that built the pyramids, that laid down the groundwork in science. I heard somebody talk about culture the other day, which is something that we definitely take pride in. Culture is something that we've been dropping on our people for some time now. As a matter of fact, I don't believe nobody put out an exclusive book for somebody to have in their arsenal to explain true culture, right? With sources and gratification and links and references to show y'all, and that's the American Indian Encyclopedia. It shows you culture. They call the indigenous people of Tennessee Aboriginals. So we know for a fact when you look up Indian has nothing to do with nothing, that the term in Aboriginal shows you the connection of the ancient people of this land. Exclusive book for somebody to have in their arsenal to explain true culture, right? With sources and gratification and links and references to show y'all. And that's the American Indian Encyclopedia. It shows you culture for somebody to have in their arsenal to explain true culture, right? With sources and gratification and links and references to show y'all, and that's the American Indian Encyclopedia. It shows you culture.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
Ain't nobody lying.
What's the point of you knowing that your family eat cornbread every family reunion and different corn dishes when you don't know the origin of the corn? When you just know about grandma and you didn't do grandma no due diligence by looking at great grandma or your 10-time grandma, understand that they had a contribution to GMO a certain vegetable or food crop to create another fruit crop that best sustains our people. That's called science. Corn is not a natural vegetable. We know there was GMO roughly about 10,000 years ago from a crop called maize. So, you can't tell me about culture and how it ain't important to deal with ancient information. When somebody says that, they just lack research. They lack intellectual capacity. They cannot touch on these realms. And I understand that. I see people stay in these certain realms.
listen, because now you got the link for yourself and you can read it for yourself. And this is for the other groups. Stop taking an L from these Pan-Africanists. I tell people again, I don't know everything, but stop being stubborn and not using information that those with A2 have been giving you to help bail you out. We've been giving you lifelines. And because, I don't like those guys over there. I don't like those guys over there. You just steady getting punched in the face. You steady getting your kidneys knocked all out of your body. You like that song with Will Smith? Me talking about, I think I could beat Mike Tyson when he said, I'm thinking, no, my bowels release. Hit you so hard in the side. You just keep taking L's. And you don't have to keep taking those L's. I know it's quiet. I know the chat doesn't stop. But let me move on. Here are your cash crops from the Mandi. It says they grow rice, which is, kind of suspect. They have their African rice. The staple crop as well as yams. And everybody gets, oh, yeah, yams originated over here. Yam/sweet potatoes, the Americas. Cassava. There's no doubt with cassava originated in the Americas. How is this these West African people in Sierra Leone's cash crops today? Here's a good one. Here's another one. Cocoa. I hope everybody can hear me. Give me some googie eyes, a one, a hashtag, a Juan, or something. Cocoa, ginger. Here's a good one. Peanuts. What did Run DMC tell you? George Washington Carver made the peanut great. Yeah, cocoa. Their cash crops. West Africa, Sierra Leone. How are they growing these crops when West Africans knew nothing about these crops? Come on, son. How did that become their cash crop? Please tell me. Peanuts, America. Cocoa, America. Yams. Oh, yams. Please tell me. How does that happen? Palm oil and kernels, as in kernels of corn. I don't even have to say anymore. We no longer have to continue dealing with those that keep saying West Africans came over here and civilized the Americas. When I already said, all you do is keep reading about my people. They started here and went to the islands, Pacific Islands, into Asia and into Northeast Africa. Not West Africa. That's my people that I know. The Tutu Shiu. And like I said, the words reflect that. So when they keep saying, oh, those are Mandi words, I can tie back to Mandi, you're not going back further enough. Because even in their own creation story, they're telling you they started with the land of Maize, the Americas. Anybody got any question? Anybody got any comments? Anybody got any hate mail that I can read live on the air? It doesn't matter. You can't deny. How are you going to tell the people that are there about their own creation story?
You know?
When they tell you it started with the red maize. So, so we know if maize is was a crop that was manipulated by man. My age didn't grow naturally, had to be manipulated by man. And that was
Yep.
8,000 years ago, at least 8,000 years ago. No one has to be further than that, but they at least traced it back to 8,000 years ago. Now, somebody go back and tell me when the pyramids in Egypt were built. Somebody want to go, it was way shorter than 8,000 years ago. See, like I said, I'm not playing anymore. I'm not playing with these sucker MCs on both sides, claiming to be Indians, but you got Pan-African tendencies. I'm not playing with you anymore. So go ahead, brother Bo.
If I remember correct from reading and researching, my age comes from two different forms of grass that was manipulated to form what we know as corn. If I'm correct, isn't that a form of science?
Yes, sir, it is.
So how primitive could these people really be if they have the ability to manipulate two different crops to get a brand new one with the intention on getting a brand new one?
And feeding the whole world, which is why I say again, you go to India, Hindustan, and you'll see things, crops that they're holding in their hand from the Americas. You will find maize, and you will find pine cone. You will find the same thing in Sumeria. In Egypt, you see the writings about the storehouses during the times of famine. Same tradition that you have the 7 years that the Mandingo talk about. These 7-year festivals, these 7 years that you read in a collection of books called the Bible that says dealing with your credit, that every 7 years, the negative marks on your credit fall off. Where did they get this stuff from? These 7 MCs you got put in a line dealing with these 7 ruling tribes of the Americas at that time. We went from 4 Balaam to the 7, better known as your Ek Ahu or Wahoo or Awa, dealing with the waters. You know them better as the Jaguar people or the Cat people. And all throughout that temple, when I say again, of Bunham Park, man, they sure look like us in every shade. I don't know how that happened. How do you draw people or in all of this that you never saw and get it down to a T? I just want to know. Somebody help me figure that out. Yes, Gabrielle Union, every 7 years, your body changes. Your body makeup, your body chemistry changes. Your mentality changes every 7 years. You are correct. You don't believe me? I hope you have a photo of yourself 7 years ago and then 7 years before that, and then take a picture of what you look like today and look at it 7 years from now. You're not the same person. You don't look the same. Yep, the 7-year itch, but you better get some cream for it, Oak Cliff Tiff. They got some cream at CVS for that, Walgreens. Oh, man. But the Thomas, man, did I bore you to death over there? I hope I didn't, brother.
No, man, I'm just taking in the information, enjoying it, trying not to interrupt the flow, and just watching the chat and just seeing how individuals want to do more teaching than learning, but they're not providing any sources. You know how people do. They can tell you a whole bunch, but they can't give you any sources. So I'm just waiting for some sources to drop, a link or something, not just talking. That's all. You know me, proof ain't a problem until it is. So for all y'all people quoting stuff, can you drop some sources somewhere? Give some sources or something? I'm just curious. If not, why are you posting? That's just me.
Yeah, I welcome anyone they want to join, come in, just let me know. Like I said, I'll be wrapping it up because I went a little bit longer than I expected, but there was a lot of things to cover. Still didn't even touch on. I only sent maybe a tenth of the links and things that I had in the studies, and didn't really get into the books yet, the writings yet, and that's why I say again, having an opportunity to even go down there and speaking to the elders and the wise ones, and you'll start to see how things make sense in your culture. That's why I put in the video about the chiclets. The chiclets they don't even make anymore. They stopped making them in 2016. But the chiclets, and it tells you how they got the concept of the chiclets. The man in Staten Island purchased it from Santa Anna, the Mexican general dealing with the Mexican American War, and how he took that concept because initially he was trying to make your rubber tires, and you'll find out the majority of your tires today that are on your cars are made where? Mexico. It's not a coincidence. Dealing with the uli and this rubber that he was trying to initially use the sap to make put the rubber around the wooden wheels on the horse and carriages. But then he found out he's like, oh, and they chewing it too. They chewing the fruit, the chicle. Well, I put in there before. My grandmother would always in a handkerchief. She would keep peppermint, little piece of peppermint. She'd break it out, give us peppermint, and those chiclets. Not even the chiclets that they were selling that you pop out of the thing now, like you have the little trident. But it was chiclets from Mesoamerica, chiclets that she had that she kept in her handkerchief. And you chew it, and it will stop your stomach from rumbling. They're saying, "Feed me, feed me, feed me." Like I said, I remember that as a kid. What's the question, Gabrielle Union? She said, "I got a question. I got a question. I got a question." Go ahead, throw it out there. Come on now. I know there's a delay, but come on. While we waited on Gabrielle Union to type in her question. What I'm gonna do is the next time I go live, I'm not gonna put the link out there for everybody because I know how that's gonna go. I already know how that's gonna go because somebody is gonna try to send it to somebody. Is gonna try to send it to somebody, and they're gonna come and try to sabotage. But if you have serious dialogue or feedback or even any disagreement, please let me know because I would appreciate the feedback. But like I said, there are a couple of individuals. It, they better go to someone else and allow someone else to ask their question, and don't let me know. And if it's structured a certain way, if I look at the wording of it, I could tell who that person is, and I'm not going to answer it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to keep booting you to high heaven. Let's see what she said. The Talk side wheel steamer made in 1853, launched in 1856 for the Navy, made in Indiana. It says made for the Choctaw tribe. Mm-hmm. Is that? I mean, it's in the form of a statement, but you put a question at the end of it. King Ramses III discovered America and built. No, King Ramses III may have come to America, but the Ramesu, which means from across the water and not on the other side of the Nile, which gets back into the 18th and 19th dynasty because they tried to divide them up, but they're one of the same people, originated here in the Americas. Because the pyramids along the Mississippi are a lot older than King Ramses III. Then that's why I say again, it's timelines. Timelines. Egyptians will tell you they didn't come from there. That's why I say again, read the stele of Hatshepsut when she had her encounter with Queen It. When she says, "We thought you were dead." When it says It, Queen It being from the land of Punt, which land of Put, which they never could find. They keep talking about it's Libya, but why would Hatshepsut get ships to go and get the trees of Lebanon, all this cedar, all this gold, all these treasures? Why would she have to get ships to go get that stuff? But that's why I said about knowing geography too. Because Egypt and Lebanon, aren't they right next door to, and Libya, aren't they right next door to each other? Because they keep talking about Libya is the land of Punt. But the land of Punt
I've seen it.
is the land of Phoenix. Where's the land of Phoenix? The bird that is risen from the ashes. Phoenix is here, not there. Look at the timelines of Ramses III. Ramses III, the Egyptians came over here because they knew that their ancestors were from here. That's why I say again, read the stele of the encounter between Hatshepsut and Queen It. And then you will discover that Queen It's husband originated in the Pacific Islands. He's from the Pacific Islands. Uh-oh. That's just a little homework because I'm not gonna give. I used to teach, but I never give out my student. And I'm not saying you're a student, but I'm using that analogy. You don't give out your student. You don't give your students all the answers. You have to let them do some research for themselves, and then that way they'll retain it. It gets back to what Brother Thomas was saying before. Oh, I think we lost Brother Thomas. You okay? So I wanted to put that out there. And he said, and he operated in the Mississippi. That means that the tribes that were building machinery and assisting in the war and technology. Yes, that's what I was saying before. These the European and the ways of doing and how America became a great military on what we call the earth. It wasn't because of what the Europeans were doing, because they were all still Europeans. So what was it about over here that they were getting and learning that made them the superpower? It gets back to the troops they were using, the inventions. I'm glad Brother Thomas could be joining us. I got scared. I thought maybe the other guys got you, snatched you up or something. So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand. That's why, again, when we talked about before about dealing with the Natchez and their fortifications, that the French kept shooting their cannons at them and wasn't even putting a dent in their fortifications. And you know these places today as your universities. These places were already built. Matter of fact, I hope is Oak Cliff Tiff still in here if she is. Because if Oak Cliff Tiff, if you can go to Good Street, the original Good Street Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, and you're going to see how that structure is built, the front part of it, and it looks just like your college universities that I used to look back in the day. And I'm going to tell you who built it. Who built it was my great uncle and my great great grandfather built Good Street Baptist Church, Dallas, Texas. That's a place you can get anybody from Dallas area, you can go see for yourself. Those big pillars that they're talking about, the Roman pillars and all the Greek pillars and all that. No. Nope. Levi Williams and Dr. Lacey Kirk Williams Sr. built Good Street Baptist Church, Dallas, Texas. See, Oak Cliff, you still in there? Yes. So if you get a chance to go, just stop by. Don't tell you don't have to say anything. Just say, hey, go in there and say something about Doris Eichner. Say Doris, because that's the man. They say Doris Eichner. And it's going to go back and say Doris Eichner. That's her married name, Eichner, but she was a Williams. See, that's why I said we have been bamboozled into thinking, and like I say again, why would a group of people, Europeans, take West Africans that have built nothing to bring them over here to build something and build it to spec? How do you do that? How do you become great plumbers? That you building all the sewer lines and water lines for these cities, but you couldn't build sewer lines and water lines for West Africa? I'm just asking, putting legitimate questions out there. You said, tell you what ethnicity are they, Hakeem? Hakeem, you're a little late, but I'm gonna break it down to you like this. The Olmec, when you go to the back of the statue, like I said, but I'm gonna deal with the statues, but then I'm gonna give you some more evidence to see for yourself. What I do is check out my videos. Look at my videos. On the back of the Olmecs, the back of their helmets, their hair is out. Their hair is braided. And then it has the clips on there. It's in 7 braids. Then they have the clips on the back. Mu2, hair tied. Now, I'm going to break it down to you like this, and people are not going to like it. There's only a particular group of people who can have their hair braided like that, and it stays braided. I've seen many of Europeans go to Mexico or come to our neighborhood, get their hair braided, and the next day it's all out because their hair doesn't lock like that. You said Kenya and Egypt. You said, what book do you say to read again? One, I told you, I said read Chilam Balaam or Chilam Balaam. Chilam Balam. That's a good book. That's a good place to start. That's one. And if you have an opportunity, that's what I say again, go down there and speak to the elders. They'll tell you. And I say again, I know that Europe and Kenya were flourishing long before the Europeans. But when you have Egyptians refer to this land, and when you have Kenyans refer to this land being more ancient than they are, that's where you may have the dilemma. Because Egyptians are not Africans. They came to Africa, but they're not Africans. And when you have in Sumer, the Sumerians, they're winged gods or the winged deities with the full beards. And he's holding a bag in one hand and a pine cone in the other hand. Why? Because pine cone, burned or scented pine cone, when you wave the bag around and it's scented, keeps off the mosquitoes, which keeps away malaria. See, these are things that everybody's claiming to be scientists and all this stuff, but Afrocentric scientists, but never explain because malaria is very deadly. But again, 2 cures or 2 things that would help to resist the mosquitoes which carry malaria. One, I gave you the pine cone. Pine cone is from the Americas. It originates in the Americas. 2 is the guninin. The guninin was found in South America. And when that was discovered by Europeans, because we already know about the guninin tree, when that was discovered by Europeans, that's when they came and started ruling in Africa. They couldn't go that deep into Africa because of malaria. So if you have any more questions, Hakeem, I'm here. I'm really, I'm glad that you came and you're in here. And they keep saying, look up the Olmecs, and the Olmecs, again, those that are there in Mesoamerica will tell you the Maya. They're not talking about those Hispanic looking Maya. They're talking about the ones that look like that they call Guerrero, the warriors, the Chilango. See, we don't, like I said, we talk about the Chilango, that's when we start having a real discussion. Talk about the Chilango. Go down, like I said, go down into Mexico City and say Chilango. And they're going to start talking what we call hood. Chilango. Look up the Chilena, the dance of the Chilena. Look at the Guerrero. And they may not look like what you think as a Negro or teachers, but they'll tell you who their grandfathers were, who their great grandfathers were, how they learned how to play instruments, not knowing how to read music, playing the instruments, playing the drums, how when they got through fishing, they would turn over the boats and tap dance and give thanks. Yes, tap dance is an American dance. And now you see it over in Europe as that stupid river dance. But they're trying so hard to keep their rhythm, they don't move their arms. And when you watch us tap dance, look at Savion Glover. His hands are all over the place. Look at Sammy Davis Jr. when he was tap dancing. His hands were all over the place. In rhythm. Tap dance, the American dance, started with the Guerrero. Dancing on when they turned the ships over, dancing on the boats, making the sound of the drums. So I'll wait. Any more questions? I'm here. Yep, Gregory Hines, prime example. Gregory Hines, because Gregory Hines was Savion Glover's idol. Look how they just were tap dancing with just fluidity. And you go down into Mesoamerica and they'll tell you, they say there's something about what they say over here. They say it's something about the Negros, the Negras, the Morenos, and how they dance and how they move. They just have soul. And these are coming from the city folk that have been there, not the new immigrants that have come in. Talking about those that live in the inner city that classify themselves as Hispanic. Say this about the indigenous, Aboriginal, Indian, American Indian in that land. And all the songs that have been passed down to generation, and they are pretty much saying, we are the blacks of the coast. The blacks of the coast. The blacks of the coast. That's what the song, they didn't say the blacks of Africa. They don't say anything about Africa. They can trace, like I said, they can trace all the way back to dealing with instruments and the dance of the Diablo. They can do all of that. And like I said, they started calling them Diablo because that's what the Catholics, the conquistadors, were calling the works. Our culture is that of the devil. You go down to Mesoamerica, they never consider what they call the devil as being evil. They call the devil as being, this is one of our ancestors. You can look that up yourself. I know it's confusing for people.
I can go into the 1700s and deal with the treaties between the Chickamauga and William Blount or goddamn Henry Knox that was signed by the host of India. My family is in that area. See, y'all, genealogy is nothing, but genealogy is personal. This is the shit that I'm teaching y'all is not personal. I have no personal attachment no emotions attached to it. But what I do want to put out to you guys is the information.
Ain't nobody lying.
You teach me